Most people will live their entire lives without ever asking the one question that could free them. There is a passage from Epictetus that says, simply, "No man is free who is not master of himself." There is a temptation, when you read words like these, to treat them as inspiration. Words to be felt, then forgotten. But the Stoics did not write to inspire. They wrote to instruct. They believed that virtue was a craft, not a feeling, that discipline and self-mastery was something you practiced, the way a stonecutter practiced his chisel. Small, deliberate, repeated. If you watch carefully, you will see that the world conspires to take your attention. It wants you to be angry, and afraid, and envious, and certain of your importance. None of these are accidents. They are profitable. The Stoic does not rage against this, that too would be giving the world a tax it has not earned. The Stoic simply chooses, each morning, to take his attention back. There is a phrase Epictetus repeated over and over in the schoolroom in Nicopolis where he taught, "Habit is a habit. Not a gift. Not a mood. A habit. Built one small refusal at a time. The man who can sit with a difficult feeling for 30 seconds today can sit with it for a minute tomorrow." The work is unremarkable. It is also the whole work. Consider the man who has just been criticized. The blood rises in his face. His mouth opens before his mind has formed a thought. The Stoic, in this moment, does not pretend he feels nothing. He pauses. He notices the heat. And he asks the only question that matters. Is this in my power? Not what was said, that is gone. Not what was meant, that belongs to the speaker. Only what I do now. Only that. Notice what the Stoics did not do. They did not try to silence the storm. They did not pretend the world was easier than it is. They named the difficulty plainly: discipline and self-mastery, willpower, the slow erosion of attention. And then they did the harder thing. They turned inward, not to escape, but to find the one place where their power was still real. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations at night, in a tent on campaign, surrounded by men who would betray him, by an empire that was beginning to fail. He had every right to be bitter. He chose, instead, to write a letter to himself. A letter that said, in 100 different ways, the same quiet thing. The only thing I can govern is what I do with this moment. It helps sometimes to remember scale. You are one person on one planet, in one moment of a history that stretches behind you for tens of thousands of years and ahead of you for who knows how long. The thing that is bothering you tonight, the slight, the unanswered message, the small humiliation, will not be remembered by anyone, including yourself, in a year. This is not nihilism. It is perspective. The Stoics called it the view from above. Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius about discipline and self-mastery in a letter that you can still read today, almost 2,000 years later. He did not promise transcendence. He did not say the work would be easy. He said, "I am still learning. Even at the end of my life, I am still learning." Take this as a comfort. The men we look up to were not finished. They were practicing. When you cannot change a circumstance, you can still change your relationship to it. This is not a clever trick. It is the central insight of the entire Stoic project. The man in the prison cell and the man at the banquet are doing the same